My mom gave my college fund to my sister for her dream wedding. 2 weeks before my tuition deadline, my mom texted, "Don't worry, your college fund is covered." So I logged in to check the balance, and it was almost zero. That same night, my sister posted a wedding update. We added 60 more guests. I didn't shout. I stayed quiet, called a lawyer for advice, and started saving receipts. My name is Jenna. I'm 22, and I'm from a suburb outside Philadelphia. I'm the kind of person who likes clean plans. I like calendars. I like knowing what's due and when, because I grew up in a house where emotions took up all the oxygen. My sister Ashley is 27. She's the big personality in my family. Not in a fun way, in the way that makes every event orbit around her feelings. When Ashley was happy, the house was calm. When Ashley was stressed, everyone adjusted. And I was the kid who learned to be low-E maintenance, because low-E maintenance meant I didn't become a problem. Growing up, my mom would point at me and say, "Jenna is so easy." It sounded like a compliment. It was actually a job description. My parents always told me I had a college fund. They said it like it was a fact of nature. "Don't worry about tuition. We've got your fund. You focus on school." I didn't touch it. I didn't manage it. I didn't ask questions, because asking questions in my house made you ungrateful. Then my senior year hit, and everything got expensive fast. Books, fees, housing, lab materials. I worked part-time to cover what I could, but I still depended on that fund for the big payments. 2 weeks before my tuition deadline, my mom texted me, "Don't stress, it's covered. Focus on finals." So I logged into the account. I had the login because my mom had sent it once, months earlier, to reassure me. I remember that exact phrase, reassure me. I sat at my tiny apartment desk, laptop open, and typed in the password. The balance loaded, and my brain didn't accept it at first. It was almost zero. Not lower than expected. Not mark it down. Almost zero. I refreshed the page 3 times, like the number would correct itself if I looked hard enough. Then I clicked transaction history, and there it was, a withdrawal. A big one. A few of them actually. All within the last month. My hands went cold. If you were me, would you call your mom immediately? I wanted to, but I didn't, because I could already hear the response. "You're accusing me. You don't trust us. You're being dramatic." So I did something small. I took screenshots. Balance, transaction history, dates, amounts. I emailed them to myself. Then I called my boyfriend Luke, because I needed a calm voice that wasn't trained to protect my family's feelings. Luke answered, "Hey, what's up?" I said, "My college fund is gone." There was a pause. "Gone how?" "I'm looking at withdrawals," I said. "Like, big withdrawals." Luke's voice got tight. "Call your school first, confirm what you owe, then call your parents." So I did. My school's billing office confirmed the amount and the deadline. They were polite, used to panic. Then I called my mom. She answered cheerful. "Hi, honey." I kept my voice calm. "Mom, I logged into the college fund account. It's almost empty." My mom didn't sound surprised. That's what shocked me first. She sighed like I'd brought up a minor inconvenience. "Oh, Jenna," she said, "we had to move some things around." "Move it around where?" I asked. My mom said, "It's temporary." I said, "My tuition isn't temporary. It's due in 2 weeks." My mom's tone sharpened. "You can put it on a payment plan." I blinked. Why would I do that if I had a fund? Silence. Then she said, Ashley needed help. There it was. The orbit. I said, Ashley needed help with what? My mom exhaled, like she was explaining something obvious to a child. The wedding. I felt something drop in my stomach. My college fund paid for Ashley's wedding. My mom said, not paid for, assisted. Assisted. Like the account was a community pantry. I asked, how much did you take? She said, don't focus on numbers. That phrase should have been on our family crest. Don't focus on numbers. Focus on feelings. Because numbers don't negotiate. I said, calm. How much? My mom snapped, Jenna, you are so selfish. Your sister only gets one wedding. I stared at the wall. I only get one education, I said quietly. My mom didn't respond to that. She responded to the part she could control. Come over tomorrow, she said. We'll talk as a family. As a family meant Ashley would be there. And that meant it would become a performance. But I said yes, because I wanted to look my parents in the face and ask them why my future was a wedding upgrade. That night, Ashley posted on social media a photo of a venue brochure with a caption, big update, we added 60 more guests, going bigger, going unforgettable. I stared at that post for a long time, because now I had a timeline. My money left the account, her guest count grew, and my mom told me not to focus on numbers. I opened a folder on my phone and named it Receipts. Then, I saved Ashley's post. The next afternoon, I drove to my parents' house with Luke following behind me in his car. He didn't come inside. He just waited nearby because we'd learned something about my family. They behave better when there's a witness somewhere in the world. My mom opened the door and smiled like she was hosting a casual lunch. "Hi, honey," she said, too bright. "Come in." Ashley was already there, sitting at the kitchen island, scrolling on her phone like she owned the room. My dad was at the table, reading something on his tablet, pretending this was normal. I sat down. My mom poured iced tea like she was setting a stage. Then she said, "Okay, let's be calm." Be calm. That means you already know you did something wrong, and you want the other person to carry the emotional responsibility for not reacting. I said, "Calm. I need to know how you plan to pay my tuition in 2 weeks." Ashley laughed softly. "Oh my God." My mom glared at her for laughing, then looked at me. "We're figuring it out," she said. My dad finally spoke. "You can take loans, Jenna. People do it every day." I stared at him. "You told me not to." Dad shrugged. "Plans change." Ashley said, "You're acting like we stole from you." My mom jumped in quickly. "We didn't steal. It's our account." I paused. "Is it?" I asked, slow. My mom blinked. "Yes, we set it up." I said, "You told me it was for my college." "And it is," she said quickly, "in spirit." In spirit. I felt my jaw tighten. If you were me, what would you do at this moment? Because this is where a lot of people start yelling. I didn't, because yelling wouldn't make my tuition appear. I asked, "Why does Ashley need more guests?" Ashley rolled her eyes. "Because it's my wedding." I looked at her. "I'm not asking for a bigger wedding. I'm asking for tuition." Ashley's face hardened. "Then ask Mom and Dad. Don't blame me." My mom's tone became sharp. "Jenna, you've always been jealous." Jealous. That word again. The universal family label for, she noticed the unfairness. I said, "Mom, I'm not jealous. I'm scared. I have a deadline." My dad sighed. "You'll figure it out. You're smart." "You're smart." Meaning, you can suffer quietly and still survive, so we don't have to change. Ashley stood up and said, "This is ruining my week." My mom immediately shifted into comfort mode for her. "Ash, honey, go rest," my mom said. "I'll handle Jenna." Handle Jenna. Like I was a tantrum, not a daughter. Ashley walked out of the kitchen and my mom leaned toward me. She lowered her voice. "Your sister is under pressure. Do not add to it." I said, "Calm. I'm not adding." "You took my money." My mom hissed, "It's not your money." My dad said, quietly, "It's family money." Family money. But somehow the family money only moved one direction. I took out my phone and said, "I'm going to ask you one more time. How much did you withdraw?" My mom's eyes flashed. "Put the phone away." "I'm not recording," I said. "I'm reading the transaction history." My dad's face tightened. "Don't turn this into a courtroom." I nodded slowly. "Then stop treating me like I'm on trial for wanting education." Silence. Then my dad said, "Your mother used it for deposits, the venue, the caterer, some upgrades." Upgrades. I asked, "Do you have receipts?" My mom laughed once, bitter. "You want receipts? Wow." "Yes," I said. "I want receipts, and I want a plan." My mom slammed her glass down. "We will not be shamed in our own house." I stood up slowly. "I'm not shaming you," I said. "I'm asking you to fix what you did." My dad's voice went cold. "If you make this public, don't come to the wedding." I stared. "So the wedding matters more than my school." My mom said, "Don't be dramatic." I nodded. "Okay." Then I walked to the door, left, and sat in my car with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Luke knocked on my window gently and asked, "You okay?" I exhaled, "No." I told him what happened, and he said, "We call a lawyer." I hesitated. "For what?" Luke said, "For clarity, not revenge. You need to know if there's any legal responsibility, any trust terms, anything. Also, you need to protect yourself financially." So I called Miss Patel, a local attorney Luke's aunt had used for a housing issue. She didn't sound dramatic. She sounded tired, like she'd seen family money wars before. I explained the situation. She asked one question first. "Is the account a 529 plan?" "Yes," I said. She said, "Then the owner controls it, but they may have tax consequences and documentation. Also, we can request statements, and you can ask for reimbursement. You won't win with emotions. You might win with leverage." Leverage. That word felt ugly. But so did being told to take loans while my sister ordered extra guests. Then, Miss Patel said something that changed my plan. Do not threaten them, she said. Do not beg. Document everything. And if they promised you funds in writing at any point, save that too. I opened my email immediately and searched college fund. And I found it. An email from my mom from 2 years earlier. Subject: don't worry about tuition. Body: your college fund is set aside. You focus on school. I saved it. Receipts: that night, my mom texted me. Stop being cold. We're family. I didn't reply. I opened my calendar and wrote the date of my tuition deadline in big letters. Then I wrote a second date under it. Ashley's wedding date. And I realized something. My mom wasn't going to fix this because it was fair. She would only fix it if it threatened the one thing she cared about: appearance. The next week, I did 3 things that were not emotional, not dramatic, and not negotiable. First, I went to my school and set up a payment plan. I didn't want to, but I needed time. Time to breathe, and time to build my case. Second, I requested a full 529 statement history from the provider, because as a beneficiary I could at least ask, and my parents had shared access details before. Third, I stopped taking phone calls from my mom and responded only in writing. Because my mom's voice is powerful. Not loud, just persuasive. In writing, she couldn't revise what she said later. My mom hated it. She texted, "Why won't you answer? This is childish." I replied, "I'm busy. Please communicate by text." Then I asked one simple question. "Can you send me the wedding invoices you paid with the college fund?" My mom replied, "No." Then she added, "You're acting like a bank." I replied, "You used me like one." I saved it. A few days later, the 529 statement arrived. And that's when the story became clearer. There were multiple withdrawals, but one number kept repeating, like a pattern. Same amount, different dates. It matched the standard vendor deposit amount for large events in our area. Venue deposit, catering deposit, entertainment deposit. Not random, planned. If you were me, would you feel anger or relief at that point? I felt both. Anger, because it was real. Relief, because it was documentable. Then the next clue arrived from somewhere unexpected. My aunt texted me. Not my mom's sister, my dad's sister. She wrote, "Hey, your mom mentioned you chose not to use the college fund and you wanted loans for independence. That doesn't sound like you." My stomach dropped. So now they were rewriting. I replied to my aunt, "Calm. I did not choose that. The fund was used for Ashley's wedding upgrades. I have statements." My aunt replied, "Send me proof." I sent her one screenshot from the statement, with the account number blurred. Just the withdrawals and dates. My aunt wrote back, "Oh, that 'oh' mattered. Because it meant the story wasn't working on everyone." Then Ashley texted me for the first time in weeks. "Please don't ruin my wedding." I replied, "I'm not ruining anything. I'm protecting my education." Ashley wrote, "You're making me look bad." I stared at it. I replied, "You spent the fund. That's why it looks bad." She didn't respond. The next day, my mom showed up at my apartment unannounced. I didn't open the door at first. Then I did, because I didn't want her banging in the hallway and turning me into a villain in front of neighbors. She walked in like she owned the air. "I don't recognize you," she said. I nodded. "I don't recognize you either." My mom's eyes filled with tears immediately, like her face had muscle memory. "I did this for the family," she said. I stayed calm. "You did it for Ashley." She snapped, "Ashley is my daughter too." I said, "So am I." Silence. Then my mom shifted. She said, "Fine, what do you want?" I asked, "I want you to reimburse my tuition payments. Starting now." My mom laughed bitterly. "With what?" I looked at her. "With the money you're still spending on the wedding." My mom's smile dropped. I continued, calm and factual. "Here's what I know. The statement shows withdrawals that match vendor deposits, so you still have vendor contracts. You can reduce the guest count. You can downgrade upgrades. You can cancel extras. And you can fund my education the way you promised." My mom stared at me like she couldn't believe I was talking about her dream event like it was adjustable. "It's too late," she said. I replied, "It's not too late for my tuition either." My mom's voice rose. "You want me to embarrass your sister?" I said, calm. "You embarrassed me when you emptied my fund." My mom took a breath and went for the guilt angle. "Your sister will remember this forever," she said. I answered, "I already will too." Then she said the sentence that made me realize this conversation was not about love. She said, "If you force me to choose, I'll choose the wedding, because it's public." Public. There it was. The real value. I looked at her and said, "Okay." Not angry, just clear. Then I walked to my desk, opened my laptop, and emailed her right in front of her. Subject: tuition reimbursement request. Short email: "Mom, Based on your past written promise that my college fund was set aside for tuition, I'm requesting reimbursement for the tuition I'm now paying through a plan. Please respond in writing by Friday. My mom's face went pale. She whispered, "Are you threatening me?" I replied, "Calm. I'm documenting." My mom grabbed her purse and stood up. "You'll regret this," she said. I nodded. "Maybe. But I'll finish school." She left. That night, Miss Patel read my email and said, "Good, you're creating a record." Then she asked, "Do you have evidence the fund was intended specifically for you?" I said, "An email, and years of statements to family." She nodded. "Keep going." And then she added a sentence that made the whole thing feel like it had a direction. "People who spend money like this usually assume you won't push back," she said. "When you push back calmly, they make mistakes." 2 days later, my mom made a mistake. She texted me, "We used it because you weren't even sure about finishing school." I stared at that message. Because I was sure. And now she had said in writing that she used it. I screenshot it. Receipts. The week before the wedding, my phone became a pressure machine. My dad called twice. I didn't answer. He texted instead. "Please stop making your mother cry." My mom texted, "You're going to humiliate Ashley." Ashley texted, "I'll never forgive you." And in the family group chat, my mom posted a message like it was a public service announcement. "Reminder, everyone, weddings are stressful. Let's protect Ashley's peace." Protect Ashley's peace. I stared at it and felt something calm happen inside me. Because I realized I'd been protecting Ashley's peace my whole life, and nobody had protected mine. If you're listening and you think, "Don't go to the wedding," that was my first instinct. But then I remembered what Miss Patel said. People like my mom use absence as proof. See, she's unstable. See, she's selfish. So I decided to go, but with boundaries. Luke came with me. Not as my bodyguard. As my anchor. Before the ceremony, we went to a family photo session at the venue. Ashley saw me and didn't hug me. She just looked me up and down and said, "Try not to make this about you." I smiled politely and said, "I'm here to support you." Because support is not the same as surrender. And I wanted the record to show I tried. Then my mom pulled me aside behind a floral arch. She whispered, "We can fix this after the wedding." After the wedding. Always after Ashley. I said, calm, "No, you fix it now, in writing. Agree to reimburse tuition." My mom's eyes widened. "Not today." I replied, "Today is exactly why you did it. Because you thought I'd never press you during your public moment." My mom's voice turned sharp. "You're cruel." I kept my tone steady. "I'm not cruel, I'm clear." She leaned in and hissed, "If you do anything, you're dead to me." And something in my body went cold again, the same way it did when I saw the account balance. Not fear. Clarity. I said, "Calm. Okay." And I walked away. My mom stood there, blinking, like she didn't expect me to accept the threat without begging. Then the ceremony started. Ashley walked down the aisle. Everyone cried. It was beautiful in the way weddings are, even when the family story behind it is rotten. At the reception, my mom acted like we were a perfect family. She posed for photos, smiled big, hugged me in front of people. Then she whispered in my ear, smiling for the camera, "Don't ruin this." I smiled back for the photo and whispered, "You already did." That night, at the end of the reception, my dad approached me near the dessert table. His voice was low. "We can help you a little. Not all, but a little." I stared at him. "A little. From my own fund." Dad looked away. "Jenna?" I asked calm, "Did you know?" He hesitated. Then he nodded once. That nod hurt more than my mom's insults. Because it meant my dad wasn't confused. He was complicit. Then he said, "Your sister demanded it." I replied, "And you agreed." Dad's voice broke slightly. "I didn't want to fight." I said, "So you chose me as the sacrifice." Dad looked at the floor. Luke stepped closer, not aggressive, just present. My dad swallowed and said, "Just don't do anything legal." Legal. So now they were scared. And when people who love denial get scared, they start negotiating. My mom came over with 2 glasses of champagne and put one in my hand. She smiled like a politician. "Let's enjoy tonight," she said loudly. Then, quieter, "We'll talk Monday." I looked at her and said, calm, "No. You will email me a plan by Monday." My mom's smile stayed on her face, but her eyes tightened. Then she said, in a voice that sounded sweet, but wasn't, "If you force this, you'll lose your family." I nodded. "I already did. The night you spent my tuition." Then I walked away from her, and I didn't look back. Because I knew the next step. I didn't need an argument at a wedding. I needed follow-through. The next morning, I woke up to an email from my mom. Subject, About the fund. My heart beat once, hard. I opened it. It wasn't an apology. It was a list of conditions. We will help you if you stop telling people. We will help you if you apologize to Ashley. We will help you if you admit you overreacted. I stared at the screen. Then I forwarded it to Miss Patel. She replied one sentence. Now we have leverage. Miss Patel helped me write a calm response. No insults. No threats. Just structure. Thank you for your email. I'm not apologizing for requesting reimbursement of education funds you promised in writing. I'm requesting a clear repayment plan without conditions by Friday. If you refuse, I will consider further options. My mom replied quickly. You wouldn't. I didn't respond. Instead, I did the thing that changed everything. I sent one message to my dad's sister, the aunt who had asked for proof. Short, calm. I'm not asking you to take sides. I just want you to know the truth. They used my college fund for wedding upgrades. Here are the statements and mom's own text. I attached 3 screenshots. Not 20. Not a novel. 3. My aunt replied, I'm going to call your dad. That call mattered more than any argument I could have had. Because families like mine don't change when the scapegoat speaks. They change when another adult refuses to protect the lie. 2 days later, my dad called me. His voice was different, smaller. Jenna, he said, your aunt is furious. I said, calm. Okay. Dad said, your mom is panicking. I waited. Then he said, we can repay you, not all at once, but we can. I asked, without conditions. He hesitated. Your mom wants you to stop bringing it up. I replied, no. Repayment is the condition. Silence. Then my dad said quietly, okay. That week, I got an email from my dad with an actual repayment plan. Amounts, dates, no emotional bargaining. And in that moment, I didn't feel joy. I felt tired relief. Because the money was important, yes. But the bigger thing was that the story finally had reality in it. My mom didn't apologize. Not at first. She acted like she was the victim of my coldness. But then something happened that I didn't expect. Ashley called me. Not angry. Not crying. Just flat. I didn't know it was your fund, she said. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. I said, Ashley, you knew. She paused. Mom said it was family money. I replied, it was promised to me for school. Ashley said, well, I needed the guests. I stared at the wall. Then I said, calm. You needed attention. I needed tuition. Ashley didn't respond. Then she said quietly, are you happy now? I answered honestly, no, I'm safe now. That was the line. Because this wasn't about winning. It was about not being used. The repayment plan started. Monthly payments. Automatic transfers. My mom didn't speak to me for a while because she couldn't control the narrative anymore. My dad tried to keep things normal. I didn't let him. I said, if you want a relationship, it has to include honesty. And slowly, over time, my dad started treating me like someone he could lose. Because I had built a life that didn't revolve around their approval. Luke and I moved in together. I finished school. Not because my family saved me, but because I chose not to collapse. And here's the final update, because people always ask, did I go no contact? Not fully. But I changed the rules. No more private conversations with my mom. Text only, or with a third person present. No more money discussions without writing. No more family events where I'm expected to smile through disrespect. The biggest payoff wasn't the repayment. It was the moment I realized I could say no and still be okay. Because the old version of me believed love required surrender. This story taught me love requires boundaries. So yes, my mom gave my college fund to my sister for a bigger wedding. But what she didn't expect was this. I stopped being easy. I became clear. And once I became clear, the whole system had to adjust. One last thing. If your family ever tells you don't focus on numbers, remember this. Numbers are reality. And reality is what protects your future. If you like calm, documentary-style stories with receipts and a clear payoff, subscribe. I post long-form stories like this regularly, and the next one starts with a small family request that turns into a bigger betrayal.